Azalea one-piece bubble romper. If you would like to see a video on how to cut this romper, I do have a separate video. You can find it in my Samantha Murray Designs playlist. So for this pattern, you're going to have a front and back bodice and your straps. Now on your front and back bodice, there's going to be a dashed line, and that is where you would cut for the lining on this. So I am not cutting out additional pattern pieces. I'm just going to fold on that dashed line. You're also going to have 4 straps that you will need to cut. And over here, I actually have the Samantha Murray Designs Bummies leg band, and I am going to do leg bands on this romper. So after we have these cut out, you're going to have your front and back bodices. Then you're going to have 4 straps, and then our 2 leg bands, and then finally our 2 lining pieces. So again, if you want to see the video on how to cut this, go check it out. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to lay down either our front or back bodice right sides up, and then we're going to take our other bodice and lay it right sides down, and we're going to pin or clip these sides because we are going to sew down both of the side seams. We're not going to sew the top, leave your shoulders open. Please let me know down in the comments, do you want to see me sew every single piece when I do my tutorials? Would you like to see me sewing it, cutting it? Is there anything I can do to improve my videos so that it's easier for you to understand? Next, for our straps, we are going to lay these right sides together long ways. And then we're going to sew one of our short ends and then all the way down this strap for all 4 straps. Now after you sew all 4 of your straps, you will need to turn these right side out. So I use this little tool. It has a little hook on one end, and I just slide this through my strap, hook it to the inside of my fabric, and then I pull on the sides of my strap and just flip this right side out. It is super easy. If you don't have one, I highly recommend it, and I will have it linked down below under my Amazon storefront sewing supplies. Now for our lining pieces, we are going to lay these right sides together and sew down the side seams. So now what we're going to do is take our bodice and our lining, and now we are going to put these together. So you're going to need to flip your bodice right side out, but keep your lining inside out. Once your bodice is right side out, now you're going to take your lining with that inside out, and you're going to put it over top of your bubble romper so that right sides are touching, and you're going to line up your lining with your romper shoulders. So I'm just going through and I'm clipping all these together first, and then I'm going to go back and I am going to put my straps in between my lining and my romper shoulders. Once you have your straps clipped in, now it's going to be time to sew the lining to the romper. So the front and back neckline, the shoulders, and then underarm area. So you're going to need to make sure you line up the side seams of your lining with the side seams of your bodice, and then we're going to sew all this shut. Before you sew those straps closed in between there, I would just make sure that they're in the middle of both your lining and your romper. There isn't really a right or wrong way on which order you sew these closed together. If you want to do it a different way, you totally can. But I am just starting the side seams and the underarm area, and then you can do the neckline and then the tops of all your straps. It doesn't matter what order you do it in, you just need to fully enclose the lining to your romper. After you have that all sewn closed, now what you're going to do is just flip that lining inside your romper, and then I'm going to go ahead and tie my straps. Now I haven't sewed my crotch closed yet, so I'm going to flip my romper inside out so that it's right sides together, and I'm going to sew across my crotch seam here. For the leg bands, how I sew my leg bands is I fold them right sides together, long ways, and then I fold in half again the other way, just like this. And then I just sew right across the top of this short edge. And we're going to do that for both of our leg bands. After you have those sewn, you just flip it right side out like this. And now you can go ahead and quarter it. So to quarter it, you're basically folding this on the seam you just sewed, and we're going to put a pin across from that seam to show us the middle front. And then you're going to open it up and line up that pin with the seam and put 2 pins at each end now that are folded. And that gives you 4 pins or 4 quarters. And you're going to do the same thing with your romper so that you can sew this on and that everything is even. So I wanted to show you, this is the 4T leg band on a 3T romper. It does fit, but I want it to be a little bit smaller so it'll be more snug around my daughter's leg, and that is why I went down to the 3T size. So as you can see, the 3T still fits, but it is slightly smaller than the leg hole opening, and that's what I want. So to quarter your romper, what you're going to do is lay your leg opening seams on top of each other, and that's going to count as 2 of your points. And then on the opposite end here and over here, you would put 2 additional pins so that you now have 4 points of reference to add your leg band on. So we are going to be sewing our leg band on in the round. So as you are doing this, you want to make sure that your fabrics are both lined up. And for my seam, I just make sure that they're both laying on top of each other. And you are only stretching the leg band. Remember, this is a bummy leg band, so it's not really for this pattern, but it will still work. You just need to make sure that you're stretching to your next pin so that it fits on nicely. And you'll see in the end, it does work pretty perfect. So just make sure that your fabrics are lined up and that as you're sewing this, you're only stretching the band, and make sure that your romper fabric doesn't slip out from underneath that leg band. After you've sewed on your first leg band, you're going to go ahead and repeat it with your second leg band. And look, it looks pretty good. When you're all finished, this is what your romper will look like. It is so cute and it is so simple. I will link the pattern down in the description below. If you guys could, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe.